Welcome back to many of you. Welcome, maybe for the first time to some of you. This is ALSD's Solutions for the Shutdown series, and we're going to attack service today. And I can't tell you how privileged I am to be sitting here with three incredible counterparts, members, and at this point, friends. We've had some really fruitful and fun conversations this past week in preparation for this panel. I admire you all, as you know. Each one has a unique approach to service, especially during this time, and each brings her own style to the world of premium, partnerships, and customer service. And just to back up a step so that you all know, this is my third time doing this, and it's been a privilege, but if you haven't joined and you don't know me, my name is Amanda Veerhoff, and I work for the ALSD and have for over a decade. We won't tell you quite how many years, but the better part of a decade, almost and a half. So anyway, before we get started on the panel itself today, I want to remind you all that our previous panels, the series for the Shutdown, this is number 5, 1 through 4 are on ALSD.com. And they're also on our homepage, right? They're living on our homepage right now, as well as several other resources, and then they'll eventually be archived. But if you need an assist in finding anything, let me know. I'll be happy to forward you the appropriate links. And you know, in case somebody wants to get a hold of me via email, I have no qualms with sending that out today. It's Amanda@ALSD.com. Finally, our YouTube channel has a ton of stuff on it right now. So subscribe to ALSD on YouTube, and we'll continue to post, you know, a lot of resources on there in video form. So I'm ready to get this one started. Again, I'm excited. I think this panel is ready to get real, tell us what's working. We're now 5-6 weeks into the pandemic that is COVID-19. And I think we've all had our challenging moments, but have also, you know, come up with some inspiring things that are gonna help us in this industry and also help us personally. So we're gonna talk about what's working, what they've learned, what they've found surprising through this time. And you know, we're working in a different world, literally and figuratively, for several weeks now, and so it's time to explore that. And you might come away hopefully inspired yourself, maybe reassured, and hopefully with an appreciation for the brotherhood and sisterhood that the ALSD has created as a platform for you. And it's not us creating it, it's you all that have created this really cool platform to share and to become stewards of the industry together. And so finally, on the theme of the panel series, most importantly, we hope you come out with some solutions for the shutdown. And I'll try to bring things full circle as we go here with the panel. Not that I'll need to, they each have their own case histories that they'll be moving forward with here shortly. So first, let's just get started with intros. And it's my pleasure to welcome each one of you who's gonna talk name, title, organization, and a bit of their responsibilities in their respective teams. So Becky, I'll toss it to you first.
Thanks, Amanda. Such an honor to be on this panel today, this all-ladies panel, as we've been talking about. My name is Becky Coffey. I am the Vice President of Partner Activation and Premium Experience for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I oversee 2 arms of our business. On the corporate partnership side, the activation team that execute all of our corporate partnership contracts. And then on the premium experience side, the team that manages all the relationships and the servicing of our suite, terrace table, and loge box owners. So again, happy to be here today and look forward to the conversation.
Coming to us also from the OH. ALSD is based in Cincinnati. I live in Dayton, and Becky's coming to us from Columbus. So welcome. Candy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Candy Fuzesy, Director of Premium Seating Services and Operations for the Minnesota Vikings. I am in warm Minnesota today, which is great. There's no snow and it's supposed to rain, but be 70 today, which is awesome. But my team is in charge of 135 luxury suites and the service experience on those suites, and then 7 luxury clubs, 33 Club Purple couches, and loge boxes as well. But yeah, super pumped for this panel. A colleague of mine said to me not too long ago with these panels, like, where's all the women? And here we are. So let's go.
Our walk-up music was going to be Beyonce's Who Rule the World, but you know, there's guys on here too. So hello, men. We appreciate you as well, but hello, women. Thank you very much. And Candy and I share a wardrobe. My high school colors were purple and gold. And so, you know, she and I have been trading wardrobe secrets. So Kristin, round us out.
Hi, I am Kristin Miller. I'm the Director of Suite Services with the Milwaukee Brewers Baseball Club. So we are the services part of what is a phenomenal suites team So we oversee everything that happens after the contract. So over 110 unique contracts and suite accounts. I do need to preface what I'm going to say in this call. It is a giant team effort. So some things are going to come across as like, wow, that's really awesome. It's like, okay, that probably wasn't uniquely a Kristin Miller thing. That was a Milwaukee Brewers thing. So I do need to preface that with everything that you hear after this. So really excited to be here today.
So Kristin is the expert of everything is basically what she's saying. No, thank you. And we appreciate, I have to give a shout out to your daughter's artwork in the background. That is absolutely beautiful. Any standout piece for Picasso there in the background?
I do. I think my favorite is the handprint that says "we can touch," because unfortunately right now we can't. So I feel like that's a very poignant piece in the background, the red and the blue.
100%. Quite the colorful intro for our ladies here today. Just a reminder to you all, today's panel, we're generally going to address this prompt that I am going to read here for a moment. Premium seating exists to provide exclusive experiences. How are we providing that level of high service, even while the games are on pause? Moreover, how are lifestyle shifts, which will become clear what I mean by that during the panel, how are lifestyle shifts providing leadership and staffing opportunities that by extension help our clients? That's the prompt of the panel, right? Solutions for the shutdown. How are we helping our clients? Lastly, when it's safe to do so, how can our venues return as the quintessential entertainment outlets our clients have missed? And that's a really big one for me. It's like, man, we all miss sports. We've all been sitting at our houses for so long, and I think all miss the live event. So we'll get back eventually, and it'll be better times here real soon. And it goes without saying, but I will go ahead and address it anyway. We do hope that everybody's friends, families, and loved ones are okay through this time. It means a lot, obviously, that the ALSD family here, that we're here for one another. And I just wanted to let you know that we are all the time here for you. So we're going to jump into segments on the panel today, starting with, lo and behold, premium service while the games are on pause. Big surprise there. So similar to how I began a panel I did previously, I want to start with the wins. What are we doing that's making us excited and inspiring us as they relate to premium service? And I'm sure many of you are appreciative of how patient your clients are being right now. I think that they all realize that the games are on pause for a very important reason. And so there might not be as many inbound calls as maybe once we thought there are, but nevertheless, it's largely because you're overachievers, it's given you all the opportunity to still answer that call of providing a high level of service, albeit from afar. But I'm noticing that you all are doing tasteful, creative, fun things for your clients, and it's inspiring me. And I'd love to hear from our panel some of those things that you are doing that could inspire others to do similarly. So Kristin, I'm going to toss it to you first. At the Brewers, your departments have devised strategies in a series actually for how you're connecting with clients on a more personal front. So tell us the genesis of the From the Homefront series.
Yeah, I think when I think of premium, I automatically think of personalization. We always tease that in suites, like everything is customized. There are no two clients that are getting the exact same thing. So when we go to having no games, we go to how we're connecting with our clients. I think most teams shifted and pivoted to, okay, this needs to be a personal conversation. We need to really connect with these people and clients as people, because we're all in this together. So we created a From the Homefront communication specifically for our suite administrators. They are our key influencers and the people that we work most closely with. We left it up to the reps to connect and have their personal voice kind of come through to their decision makers. So the email really, it's about just connecting with them and telling them what we're up to and seeing where, our paths intersect. So the first email, our coordinator of suite services, Kaylia Ott, and myself, we take turns sending the emails. And we've shared everything from pictures of what our home office looks like to what we've done on the weekends. Most recently, I found an opportunity to include one of our preferred vendors who does custom cookies. We picked up curbside pickup, a cookie kit that my daughter, we decorated cookies. And she does fabulous cookies, and this is how her business is surviving. And our clients are very familiar with her. So I included in my last email, and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna call the cookie lady. It's been really, really successful in terms of just the amount of response. People are responding and wanting to connect.
Well, and I think you hit on a high point there that we still have to try our best to connect with our partners at this time, and you've provided the opportunity to do so. And certainly Becky will hit on that a little bit later in this panel today. But What I'm hearing you say is that you're connecting on a more personal level, and I don't think that's a surprise to anybody probably in the audience and certainly on this panel. We're all doing that. But has there been any standout story aside from the cookie one? I know maybe you connected with a client that you couldn't before.
Absolutely. I almost fell over in my chair. We had a client who, it's a small business, so her and her husband run the business. They gave some really, really thoughtful feedback in our survey last year, and I had been attempting to follow up with her in the off season about the feedback, thank her, talk through some things, and I was hearing nothing. And so part of me thought, is she really upset or is she just apathetic? I would rather upset than apathetic, but I just didn't know because I heard nothing. After the first From the Homefront, we are now talking about knitting and raising children and recipes. So I've connected with this woman who I thought may have just hated my guts to now it's a weekly email that we both look forward to.
Nobody can hate the guts of Kristin Miller, just so you know. So it wasn't that, and I'm glad you were able to connect with her. I think too, we're all finding in this scenario that you can reach your clients in different ways. I think that text messaging, while once maybe was kind of off-putting, isn't so much anymore. Not that we want to encourage people to be on 24/7 by any means, but I think that if that's their preferred medium to receive information from you on, meet their need, text them. And don't leave a voicemail, for crying out loud, if you don't have to. If it's just your friend that you know is going to call you back, you don't need to clog their inbox. So anyway, thanks for sharing that, Kristin. I really appreciate that. Candy, you started with personal calls too. You want to tell us a little bit about how they went, and then certainly I've got a couple other questions for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything revolutionary here. When this whole thing happened, I think everyone was just nervous, shocked, confused. And so my team and my boss, we just discussed, like, let's just call people. We just need to check in. We just need to touch base. So it was super basic. When I worked at Disney, one of our most successful initiatives was just back to the basics. And so that's really what we dialed it back to. The first couple weeks is just calling our clients just simply to say hello, say that we're at home, but we're here. And then we kind of shifted focus to the draft, since that was our next event that was coming up from the NFL. So again, nothing revolutionary. To Kristin's point, we were able to connect with a bunch of people on a more human level, and that alone was really meaningful.
But keep on that human level. I want to talk about what you've done since the e-video series. Do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I can't take credit for this. I have the Broncos to thank for this. And then the Texans, Brian George also was an inspiration for this. And then after I heard what the Broncos were doing with their funny videos and the Texans, what their initiative was doing, I called Mike Letty on my team, and I was just like, you are funnier than me. We need to make people laugh. I'm really big on initiatives that move the needle, and not just doing something to check a box. And I felt like what we were hearing during this time is people just wanted to laugh. And so Mike and myself made these videos that just kind of talk about our life at home. Mike did a really funny one. If you haven't seen it on LinkedIn, look up Mike Letty and watch his video. It's all about the draft, all about him living alone. It's like super fan Mike talking to alone, sleeping on the couch Mike, and it was hilarious. It made a ton of people laugh and was just a great way to connect.
Well, I think he made the industry laugh, and probably his clients too. So he's, killing a couple birds with one stone there. What about the prompt of the panel is giving our folks exclusive experiences? You're obviously one of the best at that, and you have a great background, and now you've brought it to the Vikings. Tell us more about an experience that was supposed to be in person but got shifted. What has become of that event? I'll let you take the stage here.
Yeah, so we were, for Norseman Gold, our Norseman Gold program, which is the private membership club for all of our C-level clients. We had a event scheduled in April with our executive vice president of football operations, Rob Brzezinski. And obviously he's in charge of the salary cap, a super fascinating subject that no one knows really much about because he's not really a public facing executive. So he doesn't talk to the media a lot. He's just, you know, kind of this mysterious, interesting creature. So with Norseman Gold, we do exclusive experiences for these C-level folks. So our first one was with him. It was going to be in our Thomson Reuters draft room, and it was going to be with 30 Norseman Gold members, and it was just going to be an open forum Q&A session where they could ask Rob anything about the draft. And I personally, as a fan myself, was excited about this. Insanely bummed that we didn't get to do it because of COVID. And then just like being at home with as a mom with 2 kids, like it's just hard coming up with great ideas. And I was so bummed that we had this great idea, but couldn't do it any longer. And then we just realized we need to do it virtually. So what we did is we moved it virtual on Microsoft Teams. We did Teams Live event, and it was called Inside the 2020 Salary Cap. And it ended up being the first of our Norseman Gold E-series called Football from Home. And it was an hour long. It was this past Monday for all of our Norseman Gold members to tune into and watch me interview Rob with their questions. So they pre-submitted all the questions that they would have asked normally at the event or chatted in during the event. And then we're going to have another one in 2 weeks with our head athletic trainer, Eric Sugarman. We're going to call it Champagne with Shug or Storytelling with Shug. We haven't decided yet. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll have one with our Chief Operating Officer. But more so what we were hearing from our clients was everyone's being pummeled with COVID information. Everyone's being told to stay safe, stay healthy. We know. We didn't want to just be one of the masses to contribute to the same communication that's being sent from, we feel like, every corporate email or every corporate event. All we want to do is get people to relax, get people to have a good time, kick back with their family, and just, you know, listen to something that they wouldn't normally be listening to on a normal day.
Well, one, you're leveraging your assets that in essence don't cost you something extra. These are folks that are already, you know, on your payroll, so to speak, and you're using them to do what people want to do and telling them stories that they want to hear. And what I think is fascinating about this too is that your in-person event was 30 people-ish, and then because you did it virtually, you had the opportunity, while keeping it exclusive, to do it with more people. And so I think that was a true benefit there in moving it virtual. I think we're always looking for the silver lining of, you know, we took things virtually, what did it teach us? And clearly that experience did. Thank you for sharing that with us. Becky, let's go over to you now. So your personal touch, I loved it. It was a great delivery. It was simple, it was sincere. Tell us what it was.
Yeah, so I think like every team, the situation early was that we were communicating a lot. And I think within a 3-day time span, I actually communicated to our partners that we were playing regardless of what the governor was kind of recommending. The next day we were playing without fans, and then the following day the NHL had been paused. So there was a lot of more formal communication flying around. And so when we kind of settled down from that and realized that we need to put together that communication or touch point plan with partners, we thought the next best step was just to really be honest and simple with the message. So 2 weeks prior to the pause, we actually had our team photo. So we thought, what better way to capture that with the players and the staff, and sending that to all of our partners with just a simple "we miss you" message. And I think for the most part, because it was so honest and simple, we had so many people respond and just say, "We miss you back, can't wait for hockey." And really, I think similar to Kristin, allowed for some of that personal conversations to start very early in this time frame. So it was a huge win for us, and then we're continuing to think about different ways that we can integrate some more of the simple, honest, and really vulnerable message that to share to partners.
And so are you doing kind of would you call it a hockey from home initiative?
Yeah, so as we were continuing to think through our touch point plan and communication plan, we really wanted to include an opportunity for season ticket holders, our premium clients, and corporate partners to really engage exclusively with the Blue Jackets players. So we have established 2 bi-weekly Q&A Zoom calls with Blue Jackets players. We've done 2 already. And our play-by-play radio announcer, Bob McGilligan, moderates the call. And similar to what Candy had mentioned, the format is where those exclusive partners can email questions in advance or ask questions throughout the process as well. So when we do have Bob engage with the player, it's very specific to that season ticket holder or premium client. So a lot of times we'll reference Cameron and Powell and his 5-year-old son want to know about how to play hockey during this time, that kind of thing. So it was really allowed us to have that personal connection there. Our captain, Nick Foligno, he was the first one that we had done, and he was in his office with all of his kids' artwork and some additional materials behind him, similar to what Kristin has in her setup. And it posed a lot of questions from fans just about his personal life and how he's doing at home with homeschooling and his kids. So it was a nice behind the scenes look with our season ticket holders, premium clients, and corporate partners that could see that player just in a totally different light. So it was a great opportunity. We did one this past week with David Savard, our defenseman, and we look forward to doing I think at least 2 more on the books for the coming weeks.
You have an extensive background in partnerships. Your organization now, that's one of your main responsibilities. Can you tell us more about how you're engaging with your partners now and providing value back to them even while the games aren't going on?
Sure. I think like most properties where our content teams are cranking out some really great, unique content. So we've worked with those teams, the digital and social teams, to find opportunities to align our partners and bonus them through those times to keep them in front of our fans. And engage with our fans during this past season. But in addition to that, we're getting ready to launch our Fan Appreciation Week next week. So we've asked partners if they wanted to participate with our fans as a part of Fan Appreciation Week, and asked partners if they wanted to include prizes, discounts, or even any kind of messaging really to drive fans, again, to engage with those partners and those brands. So a good example is Papa John's is our pizza partner. So during each game, we actually have a Papa John's pizza toss. And so we thought trying to bring some of those elements from a game day perspective back into this Fan Appreciation Week. We're creating a virtual pizza spin. And so fans can throughout the week spin to win discounts or free pizza and even merchandise from the partners. So we're doing similar executions and activations from partners throughout the week. And again, the goal is just to, one, recognize the fans, but also keep fans engaged with our partners during this time.
Yeah, I appreciate that answer. Let's stay with engagement and talk more about events and gifting. I think it's safe to say that our gifting and client engagement event type of budget have probably either been frozen, have been lost altogether, or far less perhaps than they were at the beginning of the year. There are also safety precautions to consider, frankly. So you have to be careful with the engagement events and even with gifting. So let's consider how we got creative with some of the events. So Kristin, I'm going to turn it to you first. The Brewers are big on tailgating and partying, and cheers to that, of course. But tell us how you're fulfilling the mission of still kind of partying at Miller Park, even though you're not truly there.
Absolutely. To Becky's point, we're trying to still have that feeling of celebration that is around our sport, despite the fact that we're on pause. And leveraging your partners, leveraging what you have internally is really key. Again, this is not coming from me. A lot of this stuff came on a global level, but we're currently in the process of putting together a virtual tailgate for a lot of our season seat holders. So we leveraged our retail partner internally, some bobblehead storage that they got going on, tickets for Johnsonville Products, which is a partner, and I think there's a coupon from Molson Coors for Miller Lite products, again, another great partner, to kind of put in this bag and drop off as a virtual tailgate that we're going to actually be delivering to clients' doorsteps, and hopefully encourage them on social media to take pictures of themselves having their tailgates at home, even though they can't have them at Miller Park. The other thing that we really leveraged from especially a partner standpoint, but really that engagement piece while we're on pause, is a virtual happy hour. We partnered up again with Molson Coors and called it a Miller Lite happy hour. It was hosted by Brian Anderson, one of our TV announcers, and we had our general manager, David Stearns, one of our pitchers, Brandon Woodruff, who would have been our opening day pitcher, and then Hall of Famer Robin Yount. Part of it, we also had a musician in there. We had a live poll, so we were engaging with fans. Basically, we put it out on social media and said, all right, we let the link be active at 5 o'clock, and then 5:15, whoever the first 1,000 clients in or fans in, they got to be part of this hour-long virtual happy hour, which was fascinating. Watching a Hall of Famer struggle with technology the way that some of us we do with our Wi-Fi going down or not muting or unmuting. It was just like, oh my gosh, look at these people in their homes. They're doing the same thing we are. So that was kind of our beta run of that. And our goal for future ones is to think about how can we now make this a little bit, leverage the exclusivity piece. So we're going to be looking to offer a certain amount of pre-access for our top partners and our top suite holders so that they can like log in before that opens up for the first 1,000 and they get locked out, because it was so successful the first time.
Well, what you're doing there, anybody can put together a so-so event. What you've done is you've very well thought out every element of it. And what I like is that you're going to provide a bit of exclusivity to probably some of your premium clients. So appreciate that. I think too, in this time, we are experiencing a little bit of kindness from strangers. You had an experience like that.
I did. I was a very good valued partner of ours, Birdie Box, reached out, and it was an email I received at a Friday afternoon. And I saw, you know, hey, could we help you out with some gift boxes to send to some of your people during this difficult time? To which I kindly had to reply, thank you for thinking of us. But unfortunately, my budgets are done for the year. We're just kind of in this holding pattern. And to which they replied, no, I'm sorry, we weren't very clear. We want to offer you complimentary gift boxes to send out to your people. I just about fell off my chair, and I got really kind of emotional, because what they're doing for us is exactly what I want to be doing for our clients, is providing that connection and that moment of like, okay, these are the people who are standing beside you when the chips are down. You're getting to see the real people. So Birdie Box, we kind of focused on the folks that we feel are kind of the people that are going to be the hardest hit. So the people who are first year accounts, they haven't experienced anything. We didn't even get to play a game in our building yet this year, as well as the people who are up for renewal. So the folks that are really going to be key to connecting with, and that we would have been having these engagements with in person that we can't, we're leveraging Birdie Box right now to send a work from home gift or a pure relaxation gift with messaging. They're branding it for us. They've just been a tremendous partner that honestly, if anybody wants a connection to the folks at Birdie Box who are tremendous, feel free to message me after this event.
Yeah, thanks, Kristin. And I think we're seeing so many of our partners do incredible things right now. I think Birdie Box is an excellent example, but I know as ALSD, because we cover the entire industry and marketplace, we've seen just incredible pivots in people's business and moments like that I would be happy to share as well. So I appreciate you calling that one out. Becky, I want to pivot to engagement, but on a different level. Again, in partnerships for you, I want you to dive deeper into how you're showcasing your partners, but how the Blue Jackets as an organization, because I mean, look, eyes are always on the sports teams. You know, we are big influencers in the world, for better or worse. But you know, you might be a linchpin of sorts for connecting with other initiatives in and around Columbus. Can you go a little bit deeper on that one for me?
Sure, yeah. So I think initially this, to be fair, had started with partners reaching out to us early related to some of the things that they were working on. And I think most properties and teams now have kind of more of a support our partner initiative, but we looked at our weekly e-newsletter Flag Bearer that's distributed to over 371,000 fans. And we wanted to create a section within that platform that was really just dedicated to all of our partners initiatives. So when we reached out to partners, we said we were going to dedicate this space and said it's really to support any sort of things that you have related to either your business or maybe some causes that you're now focused on, or maybe new business initiatives. So I can give you a few examples. We had an apparel company where I'm from who transitioned a lot of their business and what they're pushing more from a t-shirt and sweatshirt standpoint to more of the masks, right? Really trying to get those out there and help support the community that way. We've had our local car wash company who partnered up with Ohio Food Bank that for every car wash that was purchased, a portion of that would go back to the food bank. And then we've got another partner in Brewdog, which is a craft beer partner of ours that we actually put together our own branded beer this past year, Cannon Blast, and just trying to help drive their business by, I think they said if anyone would purchase $30 or more of Cannon Blast, that they would deliver it for free. So taking the opportunity to use that, support our partner section within the Flag Bearer and really communicate out those different initiative causes, or just again, engagement with our partners has been pretty critical. I think we started out within that section of promoting 4 partners every week. We're up to 6, and I think we're going to probably look to expand that because I think people are really just to your point earlier, Amanda, just understanding the importance of reaching our fan base and helping support their causes.
Sure, I appreciate that, Becky. Thanks for that answer. I'm going to pivot and kind of go into part two of the panel, if you will, and I'm going to shift to a topic that's probably familiar to a lot of us in this industry, and that's striving to achieve through these trying times at a level that you've always been accustomed to. This industry is full of overachievers, competitors, perfectionists. You guys can't do half-assed. It's just not in you. And the cards that we were dealt recently haven't been the most fruitful, to lay down that flush that we've been accustomed to. Barriers to our excellence exist. Some people, I know Candy and a couple others, you're pulling that parenting solo duty. You might have a spouse that's on the front lines that is essential. You might be living alone and feeling a sense of isolation without your tribe, without your counterparts. You might be caring for a parent right now. Whatever it is, some of us don't even know what day or time it is. Me, for instance, I didn't know what day it was the other day, and I heard something funny on a panel last week that said, I know what day it is. Today is today, and the day before was yesterday, and the day after is tomorrow. You don't know what the heck day it actually is, but the yesterday, today, and tomorrow thing was pretty funny. But, look, somebody pointed out to me the other day that we're all in the same storm, but we're not on the same ship. Inevitably, though, no matter what your barrier, we've all had the moment. I had mine last week where I hit that proverbial wall where you're like, I'm muddling. I am tired. I need help. I need an hour of quiet, at least for me, with 3 little ones at home. That's certainly what I needed. And I want to tell you guys, first and foremost, we hear you. You're not alone, and you shouldn't have to keep it together all the time. Lean on your ALSD family or counterparts or family or whatever it is. But we hear you. But secondly, let me say this on a serious note. It's in you to rise up. It's in you to prioritize. It's in you to find inspiration at whatever pace you need to go at and what you're capable of right now. I've seen it already on this panel and in this industry. I've seen so many success stories already, and we shouldn't get overwhelmed with other people's success stories. You got to focus on, I know it's hard for us in this industry to do what you are doing versus what you're not doing. But what this prompt was set out today to do was not to commiserate. Look, as I said, we're all in this storm on different ships, but we're here to solve issues and come with solutions for the shutdown. And so while we're all taking different paths, we're discovering through all of this how to be better stewards for the industry. And frankly, it's pretty remarkable. So I'll get off my soapbox now and let the panel share some of their stories. And, Candy, we both are runners. And you said something to me the other day that struck a chord. You said our best ideas come when our subconscious is activated. And for you, that's when you are running. So tell us if you've been able to get a couple in during this time when you're single parenting. What has that done for you? And can you tell us about your experience a little?
Yeah, so a couple things just to talk about what you just said, Amanda. I almost started out this saying happy Friday, but then I was like, well, who really cares? Every day is the freaking same day. But yeah, so I have 2 little kids at home, 18 months and 4 years old, and my husband is in construction, so he's still working. And they're actually at a daycare today, so that is why I am fully concentrating on this. But I'm going to talk about a first world benefit that the Vikings provide to us. So we get yoga and meditation every other Tuesday in our indoor practice facility as a mental health initiative. So during our crazy days, we are able to take a break, go down, do yoga, do meditation. And the girl who leads it is always talking about mental health, mental strength. And she's talking about about the subconscious and how powerful it is, and that your best ideas come when there are no limitations and that your subconscious is enacted. So that's why you have really great ideas when you're exercising, when you're showering, when you're, listening to podcasts, listening to music, cleaning, whatever it may be that activates your subconscious. So for me, being at home with 2 little kids, I was thrown into half-ass employment, which is not a space that I'm used to functioning in, but just trying to be like, keep my kids occupied for 5 minutes while I answer 5 emails. And then I saw a meme the other day that was so accurate that working from home as a single parent right now, your schedule looks like this: 9 o'clock to 9:05, then 10:12 to 12:10:17, And it's just like, it's so relatable. Meanwhile, there are all these amazing resources out in the world, which can be a blessing and a curse. You're constantly being sent best practices. This team's doing this. Let's get on a networking call to discuss all great things that we're doing, which again is awesome. But when you're in a situation like a few of us ladies are on this panel, or all of us ladies are on this panel, it's overwhelming and it makes you feel like a failure fast. And so I was not thriving in that environment, and I knew I just needed to reset. And so went for a long run, subconscious, whatever, all that stuff. And I realized, like, yes, you can listen to all these best practices and let it break you down, but it was just kind of like, Candy, you are so good at what you do. You need to stay true to yourself and who the Vikings are and their legacy and everything that we stand for. I already had great things planned for this year. We need to hold true to that and just adjust to the environment. So that I kind of like re-strengthened my belief in everything that we already had set out. And it made me realize too that like I don't have time for stuff that's just going to check a box. Like if I'm just going to be sending out an email saying stay safe, stay strong just to check a box, I don't have time for that. I need stuff that's actually going to connect, actually going to break through, and that's going to move the needle with our clients. And that's the stuff that I'm putting all my time and energy into.
Well, I think what I'm hearing you say is to make every minute count. And as cliche as it sounds, you have to. And I think that relating to both of us having children at home, I think that to your point that you're in 5-minute increments. And so how can I make that 5-minute increment, whether eating lunch for 5 seconds before the apple juice spills, how do we make that 5 minutes count? And it's not sending out, pardon my language, but bullshit emails. It's actually moving the needle. To your point, I think you are going to be able to that even better when you come back, because you realize how valuable every minute is. So I appreciate that. And Kristin, I'm going to go to you next and kind of ask what you found surprising in all of this. You and I chat every now and then, and you use this word intentional, and I really like that. Is there anything that you can kind of append to Candy's thoughts or even mine of your own?
Yeah, actually, as we were talking through this, and I've said I've had to become very, very intentional with everything I do, like to not just check a box, to make sure that we're actually moving the needle and we're doing something that's meaningful. I thought back to a call I had on March 26th with Amanda and some folks from ALSD. It was supposed to be our opening day, and Amanda could hear in my voice that I was having a day. It was just extremely hard. For those of us in MLB, we never got to open our season. We haven't had a moment yet. Like we have had nothing in 2020. And so I had to think, how do I lift myself up from this? I cannot just wallow. I cannot just stop. So I turned myself over to, okay, every moment that you have that you're supposed to be working where you can and you're not with your family, it has to be focused on something that's going to continue to push you forward. It's always one step in front of the other. And I listened to an amazing podcast, and I take this quote with me every day. Tony Bennett, coach from Virginia basketball, said, if used correctly, adversity can buy you a ticket to a place you would never have been able to go otherwise. And I look at that quote every single day, and I think I'm going to do the best with every moment I have today, and it's going to be enough.
Well, I think what you point out there is like, and Candy did this too, you can hear everybody else's best practice, but you have to have something that's going to resonate with you. Sometimes I read books, and one of them resonated with me and was good for not only my running, but my professional career too. And it was like, nobody else probably would have cared as much as I do about that particular message, but it's get that message, write it down, and stick to it every single day. And I appreciate you sharing that. Was there anything that you noticed? You have folks that have different, someone's working from home, or some by themselves, someone has families, someone doesn't, someone loves to entertain and can't do it. Are you learning anything about your staff right now that when you come back, you're going to know what makes that particular person tick, or as a blanket statement, how you could be a better manager of your people and by extension to your clients now coming back from this, Kristin?
That's a really great question. I remember being on the first Zoom call, and I didn't even know how it worked, I'll be honest. And hearing people's voices for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, there you are. I made a conscientious effort in that moment to say, despite the actual physical distance, we as a team cannot grow apart. We cannot feel isolated. We're actually going to get closer. So I started looking for resources and started sending out 2 emails a week to our team. And I called it Getting to Know Your Teammates, the virtual edition. And I've asked my team everything from the top 10 things they're currently grateful for to fill in the blank. If you really knew me, you would know this about me, which are some really hilarious and surprising results. I also stole, I think, from the Angels, said that they asked their team what their last 5 Google searches were, and explanations can be included because they are warranted sometimes. So we've made an effort to make sure that we are still staying connected and doing things that we wouldn't do if we were in the office because we're sitting next to each other, but to continue to grow together as a team and be able to be vulnerable and be honest with each other.
Becky, let's stick on that leadership topic. How has this experience changed, or, you know, surely you're doing it well to begin with, but perhaps just made you that much better?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when you're in the office and you can, you know, have that conversation around the water cooler or grab a cup of coffee, I felt pretty in tune with my team and maybe some of the things that they were working through. But I think, yeah, obviously this is a different time where I don't have that opportunity to just gut check with them on a pretty real level one-on-one. So I think when I have conversations with them now, I'm understanding to have kind of more honest conversations with them and dialogue. You know, previously I may have more kind of taken an understanding of their situation by just reading the room or the situation, and now I'm actually asking the questions, which I didn't previously as much. So I think, you know, to Candy's point, you know, I'm learning a lot too about the personal situations that is challenging them on a day-to-day basis. So Samantha, who's our activation manager and oversees the activation specialist, she's my right hand, and I rely on her for a ton of great work that she does to push our business forward. And she just recently returned from maternity leave in January. So I think now that she's working from home with a 6-month-old, it's been a really challenging time for her. And, you know, I think that's its own job, as most parents know, to make sure that they're well cared for. So I've really taken the opportunity to check in with her pretty consistently on a daily basis, ask how her day is going, certainly related to things that we're working on, asking those questions, more personal questions, and then digging into how I can help her prioritize or maybe even delegate within the team. But the best part though is Nora, her daughter, has been on several of our calls, and to see her chubby little face and smile, she's adorable. It's really kind of put everything back into perspective, and just we realized that we can have a little fun with, you know, get those personal connections and getting to know each other a little bit better. And that's the priority, and everything else we're doing is a part of our job. And I think everyone's understood that as we've gone through these meetings and conversations and had that insight into those personal spaces. So so it's definitely altered my my leadership style a little bit in the last few weeks.
And how, you may not know the exact answers necessarily, but there's going to be some difficult conversations coming up with clients, and not just your staff. Now, people are going to be asking about if games are canceled, they're going to be asking about refunds, credits, and things of that nature. Certainly, we'll get into it on our final piece of the call on the future of service. But how do you envision dealing with those difficult conversations? And perhaps you've even had one since this has all started.
You know, we're certainly having a lot of those conversations. We've had partners call us, but I think, unfortunately, just not knowing the outcome of the season, we've been able to really answer that with, you know, just be patient with us as we're trying to work through all the different scenarios and have a better understanding of what that could look like related to our partnership. I think because it's been fairly on the early side, most partners have been understanding, but the key takeaway for us is understanding what questions they're asking and making sure that we account for how we answer those in the future. So I know we are being pretty strategic as now we're looking at almost 2 months, how we are being more proactive with that conversation and making sure that all those questions that have been answered previously, that we've already got those answers ready to go and are proactive with how we kind of address those.
Sure, and that dovetails into the final topic of today's panel, and that's the future of service. And it's a big one. And I think that in these 5 or 6 weeks, we've had our eyes opened to what that could look like. And you guys have done a lot of research at the Blue Jackets, Becky, in a process that has a little bit of a ring to it, that dissect the door-to-door. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the last couple of years, we've created a pretty extensive door-to-door premium experience that we basically want to take our service level and the guest experience to a whole new level. So as we created that, we definitely had to look at how they, anywhere from when they received their tickets to their drive to Nationwide Arena to when they arrived and parked, and then so on and so forth. So we've now taken the approach of taking the door-to-door and really dissecting it in this new reality and making sure that we can address how we alter that reality a little bit, and then certainly making sure we're keeping the premium guest experience at a really, really high level throughout that door-to-door experience. So I think, you know, we're in the beginnings of going through that process, but it's been very helpful to understand, you know, where we can pivot if we need to, and have a couple different options or scenarios based on whatever the outcome of the decision is related to the season. So yeah, it's been a good process to go through, and certainly we've learned a lot.
Well, and something that came up in the conversation that I had with you and also a couple others is in that dissecting door to door, you also evaluate your organization's goals and values and mission, because that then is what's kind of outwardly facing to your clients. And so have you guys started the communication process, or do you have something ready to go, perhaps a series of how you're going to communicate with your clients when we are just about ready to open back up? What will that look like, Becky?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time working through what an initial communication plan can look like. While it's obviously still unclear what the outcome of our season is, some of the things that we've done to take next steps is we wanted to understand what's critical to communicate once we have a decision. So we've created a checklist, and then we can reinforce with copy later once we have an understanding of what that looks like. We've even decided, you know, who's going to communicate and when and how we approach that. So we want to be really intentional again with that follow-up and getting in front of partners as quickly as possible. And then when we have those conversations, you know, what details are important to relate to them? What questions are we asking of our partners to understand what their thoughts or concerns are related to the return to play? And then honestly, you know, wanting to understand and outline a plan related to how we're going to continue to communicate with them leading up to their first initial visit back to Nationwide Arena, what maybe the communication looks like while they're at Nationwide Arena, and then again, what the follow-up is and what feedback we can get from them so we can make the appropriate adjustments for the next guest experience. So all those things, as I mentioned, are more kind of outline form right now, and we're trying to pull as much together as we can so that once we get the green light, we're ready to roll with it. You've
got a template, and that's probably the best use of time that you can have right now. And it's almost like Mad Libs. I gave my son one of those the other day. You just fill in the words once they get there, and the story might be kind of funny, but hopefully it's positive on the other end. Kristin, what about you? What does the process look like at your venue?
That is a great question. We are currently, it's interesting, right? You think about just the givens of coming to a game and a stadium filled with fans, which right now would be like, it'd be incredible. We're tasking our teams with looking at every single facet of our business, and maybe sometimes not just looking at how we used to do it and then put like COVID-19 on top of it. Sometimes you have to look at it from the back end. So we're looking at issues, like what is the issue? Say it's fans coming in through the gates, and what ideas do we have to address that issue, and what departments would it affect, and what might be the cause and effect of that idea, taking it all the way through. So sometimes you start at the end of like, we need to make people feel safe in the suite with, you know, F&B product in there. And sometimes you have to work backwards through that rather than being like, well, how do we do a buffet? You might not do a buffet, okay? You might be doing something very different. So we are working within our teams, and then we've got team captains, and it's like filtering up so that at a high level, we can be very, very strategic about addressing a large number of things. And I've thrown it out there to our team that like, look, no idea right now is too crazy, because the stuff we're living with now is crazy town. So don't think about it like, oh my gosh, this idea, I could never push this out there because this would never happen. Like, no. Push an idea out there, because from that, you might start to have conversations within teams and higher up that might actually come to something that is going to be absolutely feasible and workable and solve a problem.
And one other thing I wanted to ask you about, and this isn't Brewers or Kristin Miller specific, but as an industry, I think we're being very empathetic right now with our clients, but at some point, and maybe we've already thought about that, there has to be a balance between being empathetic and understanding our own business model. There are revenues not coming through, you know, our gates right now. So I think it's striking that balance. And Kristin, I'm not asking you again to speak specifically to your organization, but do you think that industry is getting ready to meet that balance of empathy versus kind of that business decision?
Honestly, I think it's something we're always doing. I just think that the empathy has to be at the forefront. In my service model regularly, it's, you know, a lot of times you cannot meet a customer's request or need, whatever it might be. But now it's heightened. It's at an all-time high level, because a lot of times what clients are bringing to you right now is all of the stuff in their world that is going on with this pandemic. And it's a very smidgen of maybe what your world is, but now it's all coming at you. So I know that MLB, we have announced canceled games, and certain teams have announced certain number of canceled games versus others. And so our goal is not to just send out an email and say, here are the games that are canceled, click this link, go here. The goal is to call behind these communications and connect with people. And a lot of times you're talking them off a ledge. They're upset, and by the time you get to the end of the call, you've listened to them, you've empathized with them, you're like, look, I get it, I want baseball back too. I would love to have you in your suite right now. I would love to be playing games right now. But then focusing on like the positives of what we are trying to do for them as an organization, and that we are really in this together.
Sure, and I think to close that point up a little bit, from the ALSD's perspective, our platform exists now moving forward, now that we've spent this first 5 or 6 weeks kind of discovering what some of these issues are and coming up with some of the solutions for them. I think that, you know, the next piece for us is going to be moving forward, because now there are going to be those harder conversations about games potentially getting canceled, refunds, cancellations. And so I think it's on, obviously, our industry counterparts, but us too, to discover what the answers to those questions are going to be. And so, you know, I think that's a challenge for us that we're willing to take on to collect that information. And so for the panel, and also for those in the audience, I look forward to talking to you all in the next couple of weeks. And I hope that you reach out with what your verbiage could be for refunds, cancellations, et cetera. We're going to track the news, but it's best to hear it from you directly. So I would encourage you to write to me or to Jared or anybody else in the organization, and allow us to be your platform. You can stay anonymous if you so choose, but, you know, tell us what you're hearing and what you know. We're pretty much out of time, but it's Friday. Like, we have to end this panel with an incredible group of fun people with something fun. And so I want to talk about how we stay emotionally stable, if you will. And I don't say that, you know, flippant way. I truly mean that. How do we stay okay? What do we do for fun to perhaps get out of our own heads for a few minutes? And so I'll toss it to the panel, but I'll start first. You know, Candy and I, and there's her dog. That's how she gets out of her head, is petting her dog. And I don't know if she takes that dog on a run with her. I think no, but Candy, do you run with that dog? Does that dog run or just sleep?
Sure do. This little guy's name's Otto. He's a Corgi racing champion. Not really, he's second place. But I race him at Canterbury Downs. So I take him on a run. I've done a couple of funny TikTok videos with him. I was very reluctant to join TikTok, but then the animal videos made me laugh. So I have 2 Corgis, actually. The other one's fat, laying around here somewhere. The one thing that I'm trying to learn how to do is stain our deck. We have a 16-foot by 21-foot deck, cedar deck, and we're going to do that this weekend. We've already prepped it this week, but I'm trying to do it mostly myself, but that is my super exciting life.
Show off. You're meditating too. That's something I want to try. And I already do the running thing, but I do the running thing because for me, what I do is I love to cook, and better stated, I like to eat and I like to drink, which takes me back to point number 1 of why I have to run. But I also love music. And this is crazy, you guys, but I don't know if anybody else has done this, but I heard a song the other day that was straight up strings and piano. And it was Louis Capaldi's Someone You Love, but it was played by, his name was Daniel Jang. And so I told Google to turn it on. And so now Google and I play this game, because after Daniel Jang's songs ends, I know what that one is. It plays all these other pop songs, but only on strings and piano. And so the game I play with Google is having to guess the song before it goes on to the next. It's hard to do if it's just acoustics or just with strings and piano. So that's the way I kind of relax myself. And then I would like to learn how to meditate. And so I've downloaded an app called Headspace to do that better. So Candy, I know you guys have the wellness thing going on at the Vikings too. Kristin, what about you? What are you doing to stay happy?
In addition to the virtual happy hours, which I'm like, why wasn't I doing this before with people that don't live near me? Because it's fabulous. Like, I do a pub quiz with my cousins that live in like California. I've got my group of ALSD MLB folks that we're going to be getting on a happy hour this weekend. But in addition to that, I've decided I'm going to do a time capsule. So I'm creating a time capsule for this period in time. So I'm collecting everything from an empty toilet paper roll, because shout out to the TP. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? Receipts from like carry out stuff, grocery lists, all the meal planning stuff, to little pictures my daughter has drawn, moments from this like period that I want to always remember. And I'm going to use an empty Clorox wipes container as my time capsule because I thought that was appropriate. And then the other thing that I'm doing right now is I have found that I am going to sell some stuff. I am getting stuff out of my basement. And right now people are looking for affordable ways to kind of continue to manage. So like I got 2 couches out of my house last weekend. I'm getting rid of some coffee tables this weekend. So shout out to Facebook Marketplace for making things well. Oh, just lost a picture. I'm going to invest in some different tape. It's my
Yes, time to put that one in the time capsule in the Clorox.
Absolutely.
Becky, take us home.
Yeah, so I actually am also reorganizing with a purpose. I think the amount of things in my garage to donate, or I didn't think about the market, so I'll have to consider doing that. But I hope this is a safe space. But I have 2 girls, 13 and 9, and they love High School Musical movies, the movies. And then while we were home, we recently stumbled onto the new Disney show, the High School Musical, the series. I don't know if you have girls my age, I'm sure you'd understand, but we've been watching those and rewatching those, and it's kind of a guilty pleasure now. And then we have, because it's a musical, dance parties. So it's been kind of a fun way to unwind with my kids and have a really good time. And then I think, Amanda, similar to you, I've been trying to figure out a way to meditate and maybe start some yoga. So I'll have to look into that app and see if I can take that on in the next few weeks as well. So, well,
let me know how it goes. So that's it, girls. I'm sorry I used that word, but women, leaders, everybody, you inspire me. So thank you so much for sharing your stories today. I know we went a little over time. I don't care. We had some fun today, and I hope that it inspired you all to at least have a wonderful weekend. So we'll be signing off now. Until next time, ALSD, take care of yourselves. Thank you.